If you've ever worn casual boots all day, traveling, commuting, walking around the city, you'll know that they can start to feel heavy and unforgiving by the end of the day. And these are the type of boots that people usually wear most often. So today I want to look at the HEYDUDE Tahoe and answer a couple of simple questions. Are they actually more comfortable than the average leather boot? And are they worth it? This video is sponsored by HEYDUDE, but I'll go through exactly what they do well, where the trade-offs are, and who they genuinely make sense for. So let's start with something that matters more than people realize. One of the big issues with traditional boots is the weight. Leather uppers, thick outsoles, and reinforced construction increases the amount of weight on your feet. And while that makes the boot more solid and durable, when you're walking in them over long days, that weight really adds up. So if you're walking 10 to 15,000 steps in a day, or you're traveling or walking for work, every one of those extra grams are lifted thousands of times. That can increase fatigue in your feet and in your legs, making each stride feel a little bit more effortful. So this is where the Tahoe is immediately different. They're designed as a very much lightweight, casual, comfortable boot that focuses on ease of use, lightness, and flexibility. So if you're looking for a rugged, long-term, heavy-duty durability, that's a different type of boot. However, if your priority is everyday comfort, lightness, and flexibility, this is where they have a real advantage. Not only that, they tend to be very forgiving underfoot. Most traditional boots prioritize durability over comfort, so often what we'll see is very thick rubber outsoles in these shoes, so they're not as good at absorbing vibration as a more comfort-focused midsole. And that's where the Tahoe tends to move ahead a little bit. So it has a midsole that feels a little bit more like what you get in a trainer midsole, so more minimalist midsole. It's really good at absorbing impact and vibration, or when you're standing in it for long periods of time, you're getting that wraparound comfort on your foot. The downside of this is you're not getting that traditional stability and rigid feel underneath your foot. Instead, you're getting a more forgiving midsole. As a result, when you make contact with the ground, they're really good at absorbing vibration and impact, giving you that real comfortable feel when you hit the ground or when you're standing in them for long periods of time. So, if you're looking for a traditional, rigid, solid boot underfoot, this is not it. But if you want more comfort, focus, a bit more softness underneath your foot inside a boot, this is where the Tahoe excels. Then, when it comes to flexibility, it's a completely different story than your traditional boot. Most boots are really rigid in the forefoot so they don't bend or flex much, and because they don't have a rocker like we see in some walking and running shoes, it means that it's a little bit clunky when it comes to the push-off phase of the gait cycle, not facilitating a more natural movement. The Tahoe excels here because it's very bendy and flexible in the forefoot, and that allows your foot to move in a natural gait pattern. It's not necessarily overly rockered, but it does have a gentle rocker on it to facilitate that toe-off motion in the gait cycle. The downside of that for some people can be if you've got sensitivity under the ball of the foot, or you need to limit the extension of the big toe joint because of arthritis, well then you won't get that in the Tahoe compared to what you'll get in a rigid boot. However, when you move on top of the shoe in the forefoot, we do have a lot more space in the Tahoe than we do in a lot of traditional leather boots. In a lot of these boots, what we see is a pointed sole or a very rounded sole at the top, and that causes the toes to compress, can lead to irritation and sensitivity there. If we want to have a more natural gait pattern, we need to have a wider toe box that allows our toes to splay when we make contact with the ground, facilitating a very natural movement of our feet. So it's relatively rare to get that in a boot, and that's something that we found in the Tahoe. Another thing that I did enjoy about the Tahoe on top is their elasticated lacing. Now, it's not like those of you who might have used the HEYDUDE shoes, who only have two-tier lacing system, who've got lacing all the way up the boot. Now, I worried a little bit about our foot being a little bit loose in these, especially when you're walking for longer periods of time. Instead, you just slip your foot into the shoe, adjust the lacing resistance to what you like, and then just tie a knot and it just stays there for you. I was actually surprised about how secure and snug the fit was in the boot, even when I walked for up to 10 kilometers at a time. However, they aren't as rigid or as locked down as what you get in a leather boot with stronger lace housing. So that's some of the trade-offs here, but if you want the convenience of being able to slip your foot into it, having the same amount of tightness every time because you've got it locked in, then the Tahoe does an excellent job. So, who do these boots make sense for? Well, if you want a more comfortable midsole that's different than the classic rubber midsole that we find in most boots, this is great. If you want a wide toe box, a flexible toe box, and an elasticated upper for convenience of use, this is where the Tahoe excels. If you're interested in a boot that's lightweight, that's flexible, that you can put into your suitcase when you're traveling, or it doesn't add too much weight to your feet if you're walking for longer periods of time, the Tahoe does an excellent job at this as well. If you're looking for a rigid, structured, more stable boot, this is not it. If you're looking for a classic leather top, this is not the type of shoe for you either. And if you're looking for a boot that covers rugged terrain, this is not it. What it excels on is urban use, walking around the city, walking around towns. It's got lots of flexibility and comfort in there for that type of use. It's not designed for off-road use. So the Tahoe is not trying to be an everything boot. Instead, it's focused on trying to be comfortable, providing ease of use, lightness and flexibility. And at the price point, I think they actually do quite a good job at this. However, there are trade-offs to make compared to other traditional boots when you're thinking about which one to buy. Hopefully this video helps you make that decision and think about what you're truly looking for in a boot. If you are interested in them, they come in a range of colours. I'll pop a link in the description below so you can check out the latest prices and what colours are available at the moment. If you watch regularly and you haven't subscribed, please think about doing it, as it's one of the single things you can do for free that makes a massive difference to the channel. And otherwise, if you're new here, thank you very much for watching for the first time.